Hello, today I'm going to look at LibreOffice. Peppermint 8 is set up very well if you want to use online services such as Microsoft 365 or Google Docs. It includes ICE, which is an SSB, which stands for Single Site Browser. Any application you open in ICE will look like a more integrated package on the desktop, but we will look at that in the next video. For now, we're going to look at LibreOffice. You can install this from the software manager, same way as we've installed programs before. LibreOffice includes the writer, which is the word processor, Calc for spreadsheets, Impress for presentations, Draw for drawing, Math, which is an equation editor. You can either install the full suite by selecting the meta package or just select the parts that you want to use. I've actually installed the whole suite and it appears in Office. Usually I only install the writer and Calc because those are the only two I normally use. Once it's installed, there are some useful additions which you can add, which is what I'm going to cover today. So if we go into LibreWriter, when you first install OpenOffice, you'll notice that there are some fonts missing, such as Arial and Verdana, ones that you're probably familiar with from using other operating systems, but they can be installed using the fonts package. Alternatively, you can use the fonts that are installed, which look very similar. You may also notice that there's no Thesaurus and there's no Spellchecker installed as standard, so we're going to install those now. So if we go back to our software manager, first of all we're going to install the additional fonts. If you just type TTF-MS, press enter, the MS Core Fonts installer will come up, so we will install that. Secondly, we will install a spell checker. There are two spell checkers that you can install, either MySpell or Hunspell. The one we're going to use is Hunspell, mainly because I'm in the UK and there isn't a UK version of MySpell. So if you scroll down to find the one for your country, this one's Hunspell ENGB. Double click, click on install. And finally, I'm going to install a Thesaurus, which for some reason is called Mythes, MYTHES. Again, we have a problem with being in the UK because there isn't one for the UK. So we're going to have to install the US one and modify it later. Click on install. Okay, now that's installed. We go back to LibreOffice Writer. In fonts, we should have some we're more familiar with, such as Arial, Times New Roman, Verdana, and hopefully we should have a spell checker. So we've got a red wavy line underneath the word, right click it and it will give you alternatives to correct. One thing we don't have is a Thesaurus. If we go to the Tools menu, we'll see the Thesaurus is still greyed out. So we need to make a couple of changes to make it work. So we need to go to our File Manager. Click the up arrow to go to our file system. Double click on the USR folder. Double click on Share, and we need to look for the myths file, which is that one there. As we are outside of our home directory, we will need administrator rights before we can make any changes. So right click on the folder and click on Open as Root, and it will ask for your password. Press Enter. Now in this folder there are 2 files. For good practice, it is always best to create a backup copy of the files. Just in case anything goes wrong, you can reinstall the backup. So I'm going to create a new folder and call it Old. Right click on the file, duplicate, right click on the other one, duplicate, and that will produce a copy of each file, and just drag them and put them in the old folder. You don't have to do that, but it just keeps it neater, and it's best practice just in case something goes wrong. What we need to do is create a symlink to each of these files, which is basically creating a second file, which is a copy of these 2, but it will be for UK. So right click on the file, click on Make Link. So we have created a file that links to the DAT file, and do the same for the IDX. Make Link. So if you now right click on the file, rename it, we need to delete the part that says link to, and also delete the space before the T, and change US to GB. Do the same on the other one. Right click on it, click on rename, delete the part that says link to and the space before the T, and then change US to GB. So hopefully now when we open up LibreOffice Writer, we should have a working Thesaurus. So Tools, Thesaurus is now active. Type a word. You can right click on it, and at the bottom of the menu you get synonyms, and it will give you alternative words which you can use. So that's it for today. That's just a quick look at LibreOffice and how to install some additional features. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and hopefully see you in the next one, where we'll be having a look at the ICE SSB.